My amplified unit, salute! Smackdown 10/4/2024, the go-home show to WWE Bad Blood. The PLE, that is tonight, goes head-to-head with my New York Yankees Game 1 of the playoffs. Playoffs? My Yankees and the Royals, man, Game 1. And it's the same time, too, basically, as the WWE PLE tonight. WWE pushed up the start time to 6 p.m. Eastern time for the pay-per-view. So instead of 7 or even 8, they're going with a 6 p.m. start time. I think the Yankee game is like 6:30. So BC's got a conundrum. Got to have the game over here. Got to have the PLE over here. It's going to be pretty wild, but you guys are absolutely going to get a good, the bad, and the ugly review of Bad Blood. Nobody does these PLE reviews like we do. We're going to have the board. We're going to have all the tallies, and hopefully this PLE is good. There's some good matches for sure. There's other matches that should have been built properly, and unfortunately were not. We'll discuss a lot of that in this review, actually. In fact, for the rest of this cold open, I just want to say, as far as positives go, there's 2 names, man. They are legit superstars and beyond. I don't know if they're viewed as such by the majority of the audience, but Montez Ford is beyond superstar status. You just don't know it yet. And I just hope that the company realizes it before it's too late. And this is nothing but respect over to Dawkins. He has improved by the day, by the week, by the month. Dawkins continues to get better, but he is just an anchor to Montez's star power right now. Montez, he showed again last night, and if you missed the show, he was in a schmaz match, and he did lose. But Montez came out once again looking like the bright star that he always has been. Montez is a star. Montez needs storylines. Montez needs more TV time. Montez needs those promos, not just as a goofball with red cups falling on his head. He needs those promos that are going to make the audience, especially the casuals, stop with that remote control, put it down, and be invested into his words, because he's not just a goofball. When Montez gets serious, he captivates you. His performances in the ring will captivate you. You give him storylines as a singles competitor, and you ain't got to worry about talking about Ricochet or Melo or anybody else. It's Montez. So I hope, I really do, in the near future, that Montez gets the proper booking, because Montez is so damn good. He showed it again last night. Every time he is in that ring or on a promo, you just stop and you look at the potential in this dude. But the company just put him in this tag with Street Profits, and they just run through the mill, right? They're just another spoke on the wheel like every other tag team. And there is no real division. There's no care. There's no attention put into it. So the Street Profits pretty much mingle into obscurity. And that's why you see them quietly turn heels to join Bobby Lashley several moons ago. And then when that went nowhere because they had no plan, they quietly went back to being faces. And so far, they're pretty much just run-of-the-mill. So hopefully Montez gets that proper booking. We'll go over that main event that he was in last night, a triple threat ladder match for the tag titles. Also, another name, beyond star status, and you just don't know about it, or maybe you just don't agree at all, but she is, and that's Chelsea Green. Now you're thinking, BC, the best women's wrestlers in the world. You're talking the Julias, the Mercedes. You're talking about Chelsea Green being a superstar? That's exactly what I'm saying. Chelsea Green is a bona fide superstar. She checks off every box. And if you want to go to her in-ring talent, by the way, she showed you yet again last night in a dumpster match, mind you, a gimmick match, that she is a damn good wrestler as well when pressed, when she needs to be. But her character doesn't need that to be such the case. Her character calls for other actions in that ring, or to act like she can't, but she can. But it's every box that she checks off, and she did it yet again last night in a dumpster match, as I just aforementioned. This is supposed to be one of those matches we absolutely just shit on, right? We just rip it apart. It's a Vincent Kennedy McMahon match. Why is Hunter doing this? But let me tell you, man, Chelsea Green and Michin, takes 2 to tango. You got to give props over to Michin, but Chelsea Green yet again. When we get to that section of this review, I have nothing but the highest of praise Montez and Chelsea to BC stole this show. So that says something positively. And negatively, it also says something because if they stole the show, then what does that say for Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns or the Bloodline like Solo and Jacob Fatu? Nothing. That's your main event tonight. If you guys don't know, it's not CM Punk and Drew. It's actually Solo and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. And for the second straight week in the go-home show, Roman Reigns wasn't even a part of this show. Not even Cody Rhodes. They did some little video package or whatnot. Tried to hype up something that you can't get hyped for. There was no proper build put into this. So Roman Reigns wasn't on last week, and I felt that was a huge fail. You needed Roman last week. Just 2 weeks away from Bad Blood, it just didn't feel like that was a main event worthy matchup. You needed Roman to really further this and to get us into this Cody relationship, this can they coexist. But Roman wasn't there. So you say, okay, they're going to save it all for the go-home show. He's going to surprise, everybody because it wasn't pre-announced. So Roman will show up. They'll do something big, a big cliffhanger, and you got to watch the PLE. No, Roman wasn't a part of this show. Cody wasn't a part of this show. And Solo and Jacob Fatu came out at the very end to give a round of applause to GOD. That's it. That's your main event tonight. And for 2 straight weeks, there was no build. I was going to say proper build. There was no build, period. That's a problem. That's your main event. And if you're asking BC, Drew and CM Punk inside of Hell in a Cell should be that main event. Instead, they're going to put on this matchup that they're just resting on laurels. They're just like, hey, it's big names. It's Cody and Roman coexisting versus the bootleg Bloodline, right? And they're teasing like The Rock. The Rock is supposed to be, I believe, at like a college football game an hour away from the arena. So, arena, stadium, wherever they're going to be putting on this show tonight, Bad Blood. The Rock is going to be in the vicinity. So, there's a good chance he does show up. So, maybe that's why they need it in the main event. I just wish more build on these Friday night Smackdowns. Because when Chelsea Green and Montez are stealing the show, and your main event has to do with Roman and Cody at the PLE, there's a problem. So, there was highs and lows last night. The highs were very high. The lows were very low. I say we waste no more time. BC's going to get a huge swig of his double shot extra Dunkin'. Come right on back. We're going to talk Smackdown 10/4/24, the go-home show to Bad Blood. Status quo at the beginning. But what made this weird was they go to the ring where there's a dude named Hardy in the ring. Hardy, that's his name, Hardy. And upon further inspection, it was not a Jeff Hardy. It was not a Matt Hardy. It was a dude that looked like a slightly younger and way more grungier Kid Rock. No joke, man. Apparently, he's a country singer, and hopefully his career is rock star status, right? We hope the best for Hardy. I don't know much about him. I think he did something with the WWE a few months ago, but I don't know much about him, don't know his music. I just know that when they panned to this dude, it looked like a younger, but maybe a little bit more rough, a little grungier, a little more beat up Kid Rock. Little bit more weight on him, but it was like a splitting image of Kid Rock maybe when he was younger. And this dude Hardy, he says, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the phenomenal forearm, AJ Styles. And the music hits, and there's no reaction. There is zero reaction, guys. I'm not embellishing. If you guys go back and check it out, it's not until Styles really comes out and starts to do his whole gimmick and that part of the music hits, then you start to see the crowd come alive a little bit more. But on the announcement itself, and when the music started playing, and when AJ first actually came out, that's not the reaction you would think somebody like AJ Styles, who has been gone for this long, that's not the reaction you were thinking he was going to get. And it starts with the way you bring him back. A dude named Hardy just says, ladies and gentlemen, the phenomenal forearm, AJ Styles. The last I checked, now I've been watching pro wrestling for years, decades. Last I checked, his name is not the phenomenal forearm. That's not a nickname. That's not part of his name. AJ Styles is not called the phenomenal forearm. He has the phenomenal forearm, right? But you don't call you wouldn't say, ladies and gentlemen, RKO Randy Orton. And even though it's Randall Keith Orton, but that's not what you call him. It's not. You wouldn't say, ladies and gentlemen, Stone Cold Stunner Steve Austin. No, you just cut the stunner out and you call him Stone Cold Steve Austin. You don't say, ladies and gentlemen, Rock Bottom The Rock. You wouldn't say, ladies and gentlemen, Pedigree Triple H. It was weird, man. You don't call the dude the Phenomenal Forearm. That's not his name. That's one of the moves that he does. But where does it end? Ladies and gentlemen, the Styles Clash, AJ Styles? It was weird, man. And I can't put it all on Hardy. I guess that's what he was supposed to say, maybe. Or maybe he ad-libbed it and totally screwed that up. But fans were a little bit like, the Phenomenal Forearm? And by the time his music hit, like, everyone was like, is that really how AJ's coming back? They couldn't even believe that this dude's coming down the curtain just that simplistically after all these months off. Guys, it was weird, man. It was weird. That's AJ's return. And he comes back as a total face, right? He's saying, oh, it's so good to be back and this and that after he was a heel for so long. And he was playing his role good as a heel. He just never had solid booking. So I guess to WWE, it didn't matter how we brought him back. Come back as a face because you're going to get a face reaction anyway because you've been gone so long. I don't think they encountered for if you bring him back horribly, fans ain't going to care. But as time went on through this promo, you start to hear welcome back AJ chants, things like that. And then you had, who was it? Melo comes out. He and Styles have a verbal back and forth. Styles challenges Melo. Melo says, nah. And then LA Knight hits the rampway. Knight tells Melo he's got two options. I can whoop you or AJ can whoop you. But here's what I'm going to do. If you can somehow beat Styles tonight, I will give you a U.S. title op. So Melo is still reluctant to do such, but a referee does come down there. It was referee Little Nate, Charles Robinson. He came down. And so the match was made official for the first match of the night. And that was weird in itself. Let me just go over that real quick. AJ versus Melo, referee Little Nate calling the match. Styles' storyline injures his ankle. That's what we believe anyway. It was done really well. So there's a lot of people that think he is actually injured. But they cut to the back and they did a whole thing where the WWE medical staff is taking a look at his ankle. So, I mean, they made that part of the storyline from the jump. They went back, continued the storyline. If he was really injured, they would just take him to the hospital. And by the way, they actually said AJ's been taken to a local hospital. Now, that was interesting. You never hear that word under the Vincent Kennedy McMahon era. We do believe that a hospital is along the same lines as a medical facility. We're still trying to get confirmation. It was weird, right? Hearing hospital, man. But he was taken to the local hospital, is what they said. So, I mean, they put that into the storyline even after the match. So that's why we firmly believe this was all just storyline. And because of this ankle injury, he's no longer able to compete, so Melo wins the match. Post-match, LA Knight comes out of nowhere, delivers a BFT. Again, the oddest half-hour opener, or at least one of the oddest SmackDown openers I've ever seen. What did it accomplish? AJ comes back and does what? He came back to a absolutely abysmal reaction, and then he gets injured and loses his first matchup. So they'll put this into a storyline somehow, obviously, and they'll revisit this whole Melo thing. But I don't see how this was the best way after all of these months. That's the best they had for AJ Styles' return. And for Melo, I don't see what this does at all, man. They're going to stretch this U.S. title match out with LA Knight. There's no way he should be beating LA Knight for that championship. It took LA Knight over a year at full-blown popularity to finally get that title a few months ago. So obviously Melo's not going to win that. So I don't know why they got to stretch this out. Just, there's so many ways you could have a story with LA Knight and Melo. Melo trying to earn this U.S. title match. That's the best. And then LA Knight just with a BFT and a subpar promo. I don't know, man. You have the Bad Blood PLE tonight. The main event is Solo and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And this is your first half an hour, man. LA Knight BFTing Melo. And AJ Styles returning abysmally to a loss. So I don't know, man. There's going to be a portion of the community that firmly believes this was a legit injury. Possibility, but everything I saw last night, it looked complete 100% storyline. So I'll find out more, but especially when they went back to it backstage. I mean, if it's real, they're just going to that's not going to be part of written into the show, guys. So we'll see. But it was just a weird half an hour. It would pick up only because one of the brightest stars in pro wrestling today would be out next, and that is Chelsea Green. So, Chelsea Green versus Michin dumpster match. I know a few weeks ago when this match was announced, last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, a lot of people were like, oh, that's a Vince McMahon special, man. Why is Hunter doing this? But there's been some good ones, man. Like I said, there was the Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, whatever it was, versus Chainsaw Charlie. There was Chainsaw and Mick Foley being put in a dumpster and chucked off the Raw stage. I don't know if you guys remember that. Vince has always done a lot with dumpsters. Hasn't always been the best, but there's been some really good segments involving that dumpster. So I was okay with this, especially with Chelsea Green involved, because I knew Chelsea Green was going to make this special. And Michin did her part beautifully too, by the way. Chelsea and Michin rocked this gimmick match out. And I gotta be honest, this is gonna sound like a hot take, but BC was sports entertained last night. I was absolutely sports entertained by Chelsea Green and Michin in a dumpster match. I don't even care, man. I was. First half was kind of like shaky. The second half, man, did it pick up. And as I said once before, I've said it a million times before, and I'll probably say it a million more. Chelsea Green is incredible in everything she does. Everything she touches is gold because Chelsea Green is legit gold. And she proved again last night that even at wrestling, when the bell rings, she's damn good. Just that you probably don't know it because her character doesn't call for such, nor should she be in there putting on classics. That's not where her character is. But when she needs to, she can absolutely rock out. I love how there was a moment in this match she pulled off a Canadian Destroyer, and she sold it beautifully. She was shocked that she actually pulled it off. She pulled it off the Canadian Destroyer. She looks around like, did I just do that? It was absolutely incredible, man. And Michin took it like a legit star. Right on her dome piece, bounces off like it's a trampoline. It was just so well done. But yeah, BC was sports entertained by this, man. I feel both winning there. They were the right people to pull this off. It was the right time for the match. Michael Cole had a lot of fun with it, right? Putting in all the puns and kind of ripping the match apart during it. But I don't think what he was expecting was it was fun. It was actually good. It was television, man. It's okay throughout all your Melo versus Andrade matches that you get every week, or your triple threat ladder matches and all the flips and the dives. It's okay to have some television matches sometimes, some gimmickry, right? Have a little bit of fun. It's okay to do such if it's done properly with the right people. That's the problem. A lot of times we get these weird gimmick matches and they just suck. It's just not the right people, not the right time, and it's not pulled off correctly. Chelsea and Michin, I cannot speak more praise about this, what they did last night. It's so hard to go out there. Anyway, I mean, the females in the U.S. anyway, wrestling-wise, they do not get the proper respect that many feel they should, right? No matter how much they have evolved, there's a big portion of the audience in pro wrestling that just does not gravitate toward, and they don't get captivated by women's wrestling, and that sucks. And then the companies don't know what to do because the ratings are down or the interest isn't there, so then they feel like they shouldn't be putting in all this effort. So it's a vicious cycle. The booking isn't there for the ladies, so it doesn't improve, and then the audience obviously isn't going to have the proper reception because the booking isn't backing them. It's just a vicious cycle. So it's hard enough to go out there and do what the ladies are doing, but then to be told that you're going to be in a gimmick dumpster match where you're just waiting for the entire audience to shit on it. No matter what you do out there, no matter how good it is, a portion of the audience and a big portion is going to rip it apart. But no, definitely not BC, man. This was absolutely everything it should have been. Michin with the big W. Chelsea booked exactly the way she should. And let me just get to some of the defense, right? We talk about Chelsea and the Canadian Destroyer, but the bumps that she took. There was this one spot where Michin put a trash can over her, right? Lays her down. Michin goes up to the top rope, delivers like a senton, something like that. And you see, man, Chelsea is bracing for it, right? She's tucking in tight. And for Chelsea to take that bump, it's like you don't know when she's coming. You don't know exactly where she's going to hit. You're hoping she's going to hit like right over, and Michin hit it perfectly right on the right side of that trash can. So away from the face and chest area. But if you're Chelsea, you don't know. But you said yes to that bump. That says a lot about Chelsea. And then moments later on the apron. So the dumpster's on the outside in the aisleway. There's a table set up on the dumpster. And Chelsea is in a powerbomb position. Michin has Chelsea up in a powerbomb on the ring apron. Michin leaps 2 feet off the apron, and Chelsea goes through the table simultaneously into the dumpster. Now, you are at that point a foot away, tops, away from your head, hitting the side of that dumpster, lights out. Michin has to hit that perfectly. Michin hit it perfectly. And the whole time, instead of just protecting her head from the jump, like right when Michin leaps, Chelsea is selling the entire thing, waving her arms, eyes out wide, and at the last second, she protects her head. I mean, everything about that finish, perfect. And I don't say that a lot in pro wrestling, man. Perfect. Michin closes the top of that dumpster. Chelsea loses this match. Big W for Michin. And then afterwards, man, post-match Chelsea coming out of the dumpster with SpaghettiOs in her hair, and you got ramen noodles coming down her face. She's screaming. It was beautiful. That's why she has to lose. Sometimes you gain a lot more victory in defeat, and Chelsea's character calls for such. So I just thought it was just phenomenal, man. Everything they did. And the best part wasn't even just the match. It was afterwards. A couple of segments later, they just had Michin and Piper Niven walking through the corridors, through the locker room hallways, and all these wrestlers, mostly tag teams, right? Like Pretty Deadly and Angel and Humberto, teams like that, basically. They're all coming up and they're like, oh, and they're making like jokes about how bad Chelsea smells. And Chelsea's look, and Chelsea is never at a loss for words, but Chelsea cannot say a word. Her face is just of utter disgust. Like if you ever saw the movie Inside Out, where you got like 5 emotions in your panel. You got a joy, a sadness, an anger, fear, anxiety. Well, for Chelsea, it's just 5 disgusts. Joy, sit down. Anger, sit down. 5 disgusts. And she goes up to Nick Aldis, where she's never at a loss for words. And Nick Aldis is saying, Nick said something like, yeah, I saw the match, man. The way you lost, that stinks. Chelsea goes to say something, but she can't. She just walks away in utter disgust. So I just thought that was just so well done, man. Piper Niven was hilarious during the match. At the finish, Piper Niven runs down in like a hazmat suit with one of those like construction neon vests that Vince McMahon had Tommaso Ciampa wearing when he first debuted on the main roster. You're driving down the highway, you see all the construction workers with their neon vests. And that was on top of a hazmat suit. Because they were in like Nashville, she also had a cowboy hat on. So it was just a really bad Halloween costume, basically, that the kid runs out of the house and the parents are like, screw it, if that's what she wants to wear. She comes down. Corey Graves goes, I thought it was Walter White at first. If you don't know Walter White, it's from a show called Breaking Bad. He used to cook some illegal stuff, and he would have his hazmat suit on. So I thought Corey Graves gets props for a Walter White nod. Breaking Bad gets a little bit of a salute. But Piper Niven played her role. This was the highlight for BC, man. I know it's a gimmick match, but when it's done correctly at the right time and everybody has a lot of fun with it and it's done just so well, I can't help but praise something like that. And I'm really loving what I'm seeing from Chelsea Green. I really am. Every week, I just get more captivated by her. And I see big things as long as the company really backs her. I see really big things in the future with her. And Piper Niven, you can have a spring off somehow with this. It's going to take some work and some creativity, but she doesn't have to be just a sidekick clown. So there's a lot. And again, Michin with a W, so she can be taken seriously going forward off of this gimmick match. Yeah, that's all I'll put on it, man. That's a lot of praise, I know. You're not used to that on the channel, but you may not be. But I always give it where it's deserved. Absolutely. And that was hour one, believe it or not. It was that weird little opening with AJ Styles with that weird loss to Melo. And then Chelsea Green Michin in a dumpster match of hour one. Let's go into hour two. Bayley starts us off. For those that don't know, Bayley is going to be in the ring with Nia Jax at tonight's Bad Blood event. That's on the Smackdown side of things for the women's title. On the Raw side, you're going to get Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley tonight. But Bayley's in the ring with this promo. Nia Jax is out there with Tiffany Stratton. Bayley somehow beats up Nia Jax and Tiff Stratton. Same time. It takes out Tiffany, then takes out Nia. And then she just leaves the ring. Now, at that point, WWE is hoping that there's this big ovation, right? Oh, the face just cleared the ring of the heels. No joke. No exaggeration. No embellishing here from BC, guys. This is actually what happened. She left the ring, and fans were sitting in silence. Like you can go back, watch it yourself if you have the time. Or just take my word for it, save yourself the time. No reaction, but everybody was just sitting. It was almost like they could not believe what they just saw. Not in a good way. Like it was unrealistic, right? That Bayley's just going to beat up Nia and Tiffany so easily and then just waddle out of the ring. So it's either they couldn't believe it, not in a good way, or they just didn't care. Or it was a mixture of both. But that segment was so damn flat. I mean, if that's your writing, if you got the creative pen, and your big thing is Bayley, go out there, have some words with Nia and Tiffany, and then just beat them up. This is your champion. This is your champion, Nia. This is the person also next to her who has the briefcase. You're supposed to book her strong. And Bayley just whoops them both. Just because she's going to lose tonight, which obviously has to happen. And you could see them double up on Bayley tonight at Bad Blood, and maybe that's how Charlotte comes back as the saving face, right? And then you set up the Queen versus the Queen, Charlotte versus Nia for the title. You could see that. But this was just not realistic. And even if it wasn't good. And the fans, man, to watch them sitting in silence when Bayley was going up the ramp, I actually felt bad for Bayley because Bayley knows she's been doing this long enough. That's their cue to applause. Yeah, Bayley, the face. We love Bayley. Yeah, you just took out the heels. Fans were like, what are we doing, man? That is the most 5-year-oldish booking we've ever come across. It was really rough, guys. And BC takes I take no joy in reviewing a segment like that because I put so much respect into Bayley. And I've been saying for the longest since Nia's come back, this is the best work of Nia's career. And Tiffany Stratton, I put on one of the highest pedestals I've ever put a superstar on since I've had this channel. Or since I've been making content, at least, for 5 or 6 years, whatever it's been. Tiffany Stratton is incredible. Incredible. So I take no joy in saying that this segment was rough to watch. And I felt bad for the competitors. Or at least the people in this segment, Bayley, Nia, Tiffany. I feel so bad that they got zero reaction. It wasn't until, when was it? It was the crowd started to come a little bit alive when Tiffany teased a cash-in. That's what it was. Because Nia was laid out and Tiffany finally got to her feet and she has her briefcase and the crowd started to come to their feet because they actually thought they were going to see a cash-in because they did it beautifully. Referee Jessica Carr got into the ring. So that's when the fans were like, all right, the referee's in the ring. But it was just a tease. That's when the crowd was like, I'm sitting back down. This would lead into Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton. Referee Jessica Carr stayed out there. Obviously, she had the call. Good match between two of the most athletic females in professional wrestling today. Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, hands down. I feel that they brought out the best in one another in this match, so I'm okay with seeing them a few more times going forward. I'm usually not a fan of rematches unless it calls for it or it's going to be actually fun. Like Melo and Andrade for BC wasn't fun anymore because I started to see the same exact sequences at the same points of the match, same juncture. And that's when they're kind of running out of ideas. 7 times is 7 too much. But for these two, man, they brought out the best in one another. Finish saw Naomi pin Stratton with a hold him down crucifix pin. We just call this a fruit roll up. It is what it is. I can't stand these, and especially this finish, if you go back and watch it, Tiffany just has to lay there because Tiffany is athletic, She's very movable, right? She can put body parts where people don't know or probably where the body parts should not go, legs behind her head. She can pretzel and twist her way out of anything. And she's in this crucifix pin, And if you watch it back, guys, it was so sad. She couldn't even move because she knows she'll accidentally kick out if she tries. So Tiffany just has to kind of lay there for the 3 count. She's not even trying to get out of it. And real quick, that's one of the biggest reasons I can't stand these hold them down roll-ups, right? Is because usually the company is always putting these wrestlers in predicaments they shouldn't be in. I can't tell you how many times I've seen wrestlers like Braun Strowman or a Mark Henry or Viking Raiders every other week just getting held down. Like, think about that, man. Just look at the Viking Raiders. If they accidentally burp or hiccup, they're going to kick out of a roll-up, right? But every single match, that's how they're getting beat. And it doesn't make sense. Tiffany Stratton, as athletic as she is, she has to lay there until the 3 count. Because if she accidentally moves, she's accidentally going to kick out. You can't put these wrestlers in that predicament. It's not realistic. Now, if you're telling me like Chelsea Green got rolled up and pinned, I believe that. It fits the character. Or a Candice LeRae or Chance, right? I believe that. Or Shayna Baszler, right? Baszler is ready for this big fight. She's going to smash somebody. That's her game plan. And right when the bell rings, she gets rolled up. So it's like a shock pin. Okay, I can take that. That can be realistic. Shayna was absolutely caught off her game, not expecting a roll-up. She was ready for a fight. Or if 2 individuals were wrestling for a half an hour and they're exhausted, and they got rolled up. They got a, a small package, right? They got rolled up, and they had no energy to kick out. I can believe that. But just watching Tiffany Stratton like this, she can't even move because she'll accidentally kick out. I always hate to see the wrestlers put in that predicament. It never makes them look good. I always am a fan of Naomi picking up W's. Always. I am never a fan of the person holding the MITB briefcase losing matches before a cash-in. And that's what you're asking Tiffany to do. That's what you're putting her in predicaments to do, is just lose. And you're supposed to be building her up. She has the briefcase. So when she cashes in, bigger pop. Because subconsciously, we know whether she's heel, face, whether you like her or don't like her, she's got a chance of cashing this in. But if the whole ride, you're just going to have her lose matches every other week, man, subconsciously, we're just like, oh, when the time finally comes, oh, Tiffany's cashing in. All right. It's 50-50. She might do it. There's no reason to have Tiffany in these losses while simultaneously trying to like tease the crowd like she's going to cash in and become a champion at any time. They have to be careful with that. So I'm a fan of Naomi picking up W's. I am not a fan of the person holding the briefcase losing matches before they cash in. Or it has to be very, very sporadic. And I'm starting to see that her losses and the way she's being booked is not the case, man. She can't just be a subpar competitor on her way to a cash-in. She still has to be booked dominantly and strong, not just a sidekick of Nia Jax. Then we went into the main event. This was a tag title ladder match, triple threat, Guerillas of Destiny versus Street Profits versus DIY. And this match was exactly what you would think, right? Sheer chaos. I loved how the finish, DIY and SP, they teamed up to put the Bloodline winners, well, they did win this match, the Bloodline members through tables just as they have done for months to everybody else. So in other words, like Loa was on the outside and he was set up on a ladder. Was it a table? I think it was a ladder. Maybe it was a table on a ladder. I don't know. But then Montez goes up to the top and leaps off right to the outside and crashes through Loa and the table ladder, whatever it was. Then they picked up Tama Tonga and they delivered that shield power bomb that this bootleg Bloodline has been doing to everybody the last several months. Cody, KO, Randy, Paul Heyman, Roman even. They put Tama Tonga in that position and power bombed him straight through the table. Crowd really popped for that because it was like finally the tables have turned, right? And then DIY just turned on SP because it's every team for themselves. You got to go up that ladder and get those titles. So I thought the ending was so fun and just well executed. You know, this could easily just have run off the rails as a schmaz and just sheer chaos and go off the air and like, all right, we don't need to see that for a long time. But they did really good. This was fun. This made sense. A lot of fans probably don't like the outcome, but it was the right outcome. they got laid out, so now the faces are both climbing 2 ladders to get to the titles, but they're too busy trying to take each other out on the ladders that finally GOD gets in, and all of the faces separately, right? 2 faces to the left, 2 faces to the right turnbuckle, and they go through ladders that were set up in each turnbuckle. So it was really cool to see how the faces got wiped out, and this allowed Tama Tonga to hold the ladder while Tonga Loa, one of the you get tongue twisted here, right? Rocky Balboa, Tama Tonka Truck, Loa, I believe, ascended the ladder, grabbed the championships. I think he grabbed the whole platform it was on, or the little ringer that it was on. So he didn't even he grabbed the whole thing, and he just celebrated at the top. And then he came back down, and they were announced the winners, and a lot of the audience was not happy, man, because they were finally on their feet, and they were enjoying this thing. They were captivated by it. It was fun. But then the heels, the dastardly heels, I thought it was done beautifully. I really do. And then you finally see Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa come down the rampway. They're going to be in the main event tonight. They finally make an appearance. They hug GOD, they hold up some ones, and we go off the air. Again, Bloodline, GOD, the heels ultimately retrieved the titles to win the match and remain title holders. That was the show, man. Yeah, damn good main event. That's back to back for WWE, man. The Monday Night Raw main event was an actual main event. It felt like a main event. It was promoted like a main event. It was produced like the match itself was a main event worthy match. The finish was main event worthy with the return of Seth Rollins and the way that was executed. Monday Night Raw just had a main event that was finally like, whoa, that was a main event. We don't always get that. And it produced questions that you want answers to and a little bit of a cliffhanger. And then SmackDown followed it up with this really good triple threat tag title ladder match. But the other good thing from last night, man, just so good, was another gimmick match, dumpster match, Chelsea Green Michin. If you're asking BC the highlight of the night, hot take, I get it. It's a hot take. BC has been traveling a lot over the last week, especially. So you're probably thinking BC just got jet lag, right? Just need some rest. But no, I know exactly what I'm saying. Chelsea Green Michin, that is the highlight for me last night. I thought it was so well done, and it does so much for both. So the tag title ladder match, the dumpster match, those were the highlights easily of this show. The Bayley thing with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton just didn't click. It just fell flat in the audience. That was rough to watch. They just did not care at all. Naomi and Tiffany, good match, subpar finish. And then the first half an hour of the show was just really odd to me. The whole AJ style, like that's just not how you bring back AJ. So I'm guessing this is going to lead to obviously a story for AJ, maybe Melo. If you got the creative pen and he's been gone for that long and it's somebody like AJ Styles, you're not going to have something better than that? When this dude Hardy said the phenomenal forearm, AJ Styles, the crowd was like, who? Do you mean the phenomenal AJ Styles? Maybe he was told to say the phenomenal, but he knows that he does a phenomenal forearm. So maybe he said, I don't even know. That was rough. Guys, that's the Go Home Show, man. I hope you guys were captivated by this review. A lot of good conversation, a lot of knowledge dropped, and hopefully in an entertaining fashion. Tonight is Bad Blood. BC is going to have that review for you one way or the other. The good, the bad, and the ugly of Bad Blood. So I can't wait to do that review. Hopefully you guys check that out. Subscribe, notified, all the good stuff. Smash that up if you don't mind. Help that algorithm out. Let's BC know you're fully amped as well. Not just for this SmackDown review, but for Bad Blood's good, the bad, and the ugly review, man. We're going to rock this review out. This is how you're sending us into the holidays, WWE. You better come with it big tonight. Does The Rock show up? He's going to be an hour away from this arena. It's going to be interesting. A lot of people do think that The Rock shows up tonight, not Survivor Series. Or shows up tonight, sets something up for Survivor Series. We shall see. That's what I got for you guys, man. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC and the unit saying salute. Check you.